Are you struggling with managing your time as a mompreneur? I mean, you've got the business and the babies and the homeschooling and juggling all the other aspects of mom and business life. If you're feeling overwhelmed and are not sure how to get more done as a mama with 2 full-time jobs, raising babies, and growing a business, then watch this video for the best 5 time management tips to help you eliminate overwhelm and have freedom and ease as a mompreneur. For the best leadership tips and entrepreneur advice to help you step into your power, build your empire, and crown yourself, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and make sure you hit the bell to get notified every Tuesday and Friday when a new video goes live. Hi, I'm Kimberly Spencer, high performance coach and founder of crownyourself.com and mom to 1 very precocious toddler and 1 little one on the way. Having coached high achievers and entrepreneurs for the past 5 years now, the number 1 reason why every client has come to work with me is this: they want more freedom and ease in their business and in their life. And I can tell you, having grown a multi-6-figure business where I can work from wherever, travel the world with my family, currently in the Gold Coast of Australia, and I've built my business from nothing while pregnant and through growing a baby and raising a business, or was that raising a business, or growing a business and raising a baby? Pregnancy brain. Having done all this, I can tell you, you can have ease in your business, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy. You see, ease is a state of being. Easy refers to the load of the action being performed. Let's break it down NLP style. Wiki, 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 wiki. Ease is a noun, meaning it's a state. And states, as you know, can be changed from moment to moment. A state is a state of being. You may feel in a state of frenzy or anxiety, and then your kid does something that makes you laugh, and suddenly you're then in a more positive, uplifting state. The word easy refers to the sheer amount of workload being performed. And frankly, as a mompreneur, it's a crap ton. From dirty diapers to designing new funnels in our CRM to coaching clients to sales to bringing home the bacon. Fortunately, frying that bacon is delegated to my husband. No one wants me in the kitchen. It's not that any task or project is particularly hard or difficult. Those are also states of being. It's just that the amount of workload that you have as a mompreneur is a lot, especially when you're raising twins, as I call it, a business and a baby, and they're both in their toddler years. Here's the thing, any task or project that scares you, and it doesn't matter why it scares you, it can be the amount of time you think it's gonna take, it can be the amount of energy you think it's gonna take. It can be the amount of sacrifice you think you're gonna have to make. As a coach, what I've seen with my high achievers is that if you think that a task or a project is going to take a lot of time or a lot of energy or a lot of sacrifice, especially if it sacrifices away from something that's meaningful to you, like time with your kids or time with your partner, what happens? Well, we tend to put it off. What makes anything particularly hard or difficult is really your mindset or your attitude around it. So, your state. And when you put a task or a project off in your business or with your finances or with your family, the procrastination itself is making the task appear to be harder or difficult than it really is. The more you procrastinate or put off doing the thing, the more you build up the relative weight of importance and duration in your mind. Basically, you're making the task or the project or the thing appear more difficult, more challenging, consuming more time in your mind than it may actually take. It's all relative. You see, your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between something that is vividly imagined and something that actually happens. So if you're vividly imagining this task, this project taking up so much of your time and taking you away from things that you want to do or desire to do, or taking you away from feeling like you're having freedom and ease, well, then it's going to continue to imagine scenarios where you're more overwhelmed, more burnt out, more exhausted, and in a space of more hardship from this task, rather than having the freedom and ease that you desire. Let me say that again. So the more time you think it's going to take to get a task done, if you delay on doing that task, it's basically adding that extra time to the time that you think it's going to take to get that task or activity or project done. Because the time that you spend on delaying on taking action on that activity, task, or project is actually building up in your unconscious mind the amount of time that you think the activity, project, or task is going to take. In David Allen's book, Getting Things Done, he talks about open loops in your mind. These are tasks, projects, activities, things you've wanted to do, things that you've aspired to do, things that you've aspired to create that you haven't done, that are kind of burning a hole in your mind. Basically, think of it like this. If you have a necklace, for example, you have lots of closed loops. The necklace holds together because those loops are closed. But if you have a lot of open loops in a chain, the necklace completely falls apart. Makes sense? So if you felt like you've had a never-ending to-do list, well, this is why. They're basically slowing down your ability to process and take action because they're open. Having all of these open loops open is basically like having all of your browser tabs and all of your applications open on your desktop. Oh no! No wonder we're feeling overwhelmed. So here are the exact 5 steps to be able to move you from overwhelmed to closing those loops with ease, giving you greater freedom. Number 1, or get off the pot. Pardon my French, but either get it done or dump it if it is not worth your time or not in alignment with where you want to be. Ask your sovereign self, you know, that future you who has, does, and is everything that you desire to be, do, and have. Ask her, is this project or is this task in alignment with how you become her, how you get to have what she has, how you get to be the woman she is, this amazing sovereign queen bee of her biz that she is. And yes, I do mean literally visualizing the woman you are becoming, the queen you are becoming, the version of you who already is doing all those things you desire to be, do, and have. She has the influence, she has the awards, she's standing out, she's making the money, she has the assets, she has the husband, she has the kids, she has the house, she has all the things, she has the travel and the freedom and the luxury and the lifestyle and all the things that it is that you desire. I mean, vividly imagining her and then having a conversation and asking her, hey, is this project or task that I am currently doing going to get me closer to becoming you? And if it's a no, dump the project. Let it go. Forgive yourself and release it. Because that only means that another opportunity, a better opportunity, another client, another solution is going to be coming your way. You have to be able to release the good to get to the great. But if in that meeting with your sovereign self, the future you, who has, does, and is everything that you desire to be, do, and have, is saying, girl, go for it, do it, then it's time for step number 2, set the deadline. This is not a fluid deadline. This is a deadline. And here is my interpretation of this word and how it applies to projects and tasks, especially the ones you have been procrastinating on. The project or task is dead if you have not crossed the finish line by this time and date. It's dead in the water. You kill it if it is not completed by that time and date. This means you make the commitment to go all in on this task or project. You give it all you got, because if by this date, the deadline date that you set, it is not functioning and breathing, it is dead. Dead, dead, dead. Deadity dead, dead. Dead as a doornail, dead. Now, this is going to sound very contradictory to what I just said, so I'm going to forewarn you. But I do also believe in grace. Sometimes when you're working on a project and you're working toward a deadline and you are committed and you are all in, and then something happens, law of cause and effect happens, a moment happens where you have to recommit to cross the finish line. Your commitment to the vision, to crossing that finish line, has to already be at 100%. In marathon running, this is called your wall. So sometimes that deadline will hit and you haven't crossed the finish line. But if you are at your wall, meaning you are at your 80% done mark, then you keep going as if it is done no matter what, period. Keep going, because run, walk, or crawl, you are crossing that finish line. Only though if you are 80% or more done with the project or the task at hand, do you keep going. This happened to me 2 times, both when we were launching our podcast, The Princess and the Bee, and when we were relaunching and doing the relaunch for this YouTube channel. When we were launching the podcast, we set the deadline back in 2019 for our date. It was a hard and fast deadline. It was going to be finished by February 2019, period. We got rejected 3 times by Apple Podcasts because of our title and SEO things, and so we had to continuously resubmit, which made it so that we didn't actually hit our deadline. We were a few days, actually a few weeks later, I believe. The same thing happened with this YouTube channel. And it's very common in these times when the universe kind of throws you this curveball on your deadline, that this is the time when you recommit. So often I've seen many entrepreneurs say, oh, is this a sign that I shouldn't be doing this? Now, when we got rejected by Apple the first time, I could have taken that as a defeat and said, oh, this is a sign I shouldn't be doing that. Each time there was a recommitment to what I wanted The Princess and the Bee to be. And now The Princess and the Bee has become the number 49th podcast in personal development in the Philippines and 149th in personal development in Australia. But it's because we consistently, after each rejection, recommitted to the deadline, to the goal, and to the vision of what we wanted to create. The same thing happened with our relaunch of this YouTube channel back in February of 2021. You see, Queen TV being a valuable place of content for our viewers and our community was something that had been on my project list for years. When my dad passed in January of 2021, I knew this was one project I didn't want to just leave hanging out there in the ether on my project boards list anymore. My dad had cultivated a huge amount of following, which you can definitely learn more about in this video right here, from being on a show called Elders React. And after he passed, I realized I didn't want to leave this project sitting on the back burner because of my own fears of rejection or fears of capability or all those other doubts and fears that we have. So I brought it to the surface and I said, this is what we're going to get done. And I wanted to have the relaunch be in February on his birthday on Valentine's Day. My Queen team and I went all in on the research, on getting the channel ready. And right before, the week before we were going to film the first video, this one, I got super, super sick. I had a bad case of bronchitis that my son brought home because here in Queensland, you can go to school and so you can bring home every other disease on the planet. And so my son brought home RSV. It turned into bronchitis for me. And I was like, we ain't gonna film this video because I was coughing like really bad every few seconds. It was in that week that I had to look, like, is this a sign? Should I not relaunch our YouTube channel? Should I just continue going off and like, we already have a steady stream of content with our blog and our podcast. Should I not do this? I had to really check in with my gut on that. And every time I checked in with my hacky coffee gut, it said, do it. Do this. And I said, okay. Instead of taking it as a sign to quit, I took it as a sign to dig in and recommit. And so even though we had to shoot and edit and get our first video done later, we got it launched on February 22nd instead of February 14th. While we missed our official deadline, we were 80% of the way there, but we were also 100% of the way there with our commitment. We were acting as if it was already done. So the project may be 80% finished, but your commitment to the vision, to bringing it through to fruition, to crossing that finish line has to already be at 100%. If you're not 80% of the way there to your deadline and your commitment isn't 100% of the way there, go back to step number 1 and dump it. Deadline. Kill the project. This way you're not deluding yourself that it's something you actually want to have come to fruition. Sometimes when you're not 100% committed to something and you're not even 80% of the way done with the project, that's a sign that there may be some misalignment. Maybe you're doing the project because it's something that you think you're supposed to do or that you should do, or everyone else in your industry is doing it, but it's not really in alignment for you. So allow your deadlines to be your commitment points, where you commit to the vision of what it is that you're creating. Either get it done or you no longer allow yourself to do it. Step number 3, track your time. You already know that your mind can play games with the amount of time that it perceives a task is going to take, especially if it's a task or a project that you've been procrastinating on. Ever go out for a night with your girlfriends and you're like, oh my God, the time just flew. Time is a matter of perception. And sometimes our perception of time can be skewed by our feelings. Feelings of joy, of laughter, of abundance, of excitement, of peace can make time feel so expansive and also short at the same time. Feelings of guilt and shame and negative emotions can weigh down a project, giving you the perception or the belief that a project or task is going to take longer for you to see the results. Your feelings can skew reality. Data does not. And one way to combat the negative feelings of guilt or shame around your time is data. You gotta track it. For this, I use an app called Toggle. You can get it for free in the description below. And of course, in typical Virgo fashion, I categorize and color code all of my projects. What this app allows me to do, it allows me to track the amount of time I am actually spending on a project instead of the time I think I am spending on a project. I recommend it avidly to anyone who is struggling with the perception that a project or a task is going to take longer than it actually will. I had one client who I tasked in our coaching session to reach out to 10 people on LinkedIn. Now, she was thinking that this was like a ton of people. And she built up in her head this perception that reaching out to 10 people was going to take a ton of time. But when she started using the Toggle app, she timed it, and the task only took her 20 minutes to reach out to 10 people. This was a massive paradigm shift for not only her, but her business's success, because she was able to spend more time building relationships in her business, and she didn't think that it was going to take hours and hours and hours to reach out to 10 people. She knew that if she wanted to cultivate and build some business relationships, all she had to do was take 20 minutes. In this way, you're using data to bring awareness to what feelings are real and what feelings or perceptions or beliefs are not really ultimately true. By having the Toggle app running in the background of my life, it's literally running right now, it shows me how much time it actually takes me to complete a project versus how much time I think it's going to take to complete a project. This has helped me to delegate better. This has also helped me to eliminate distractions and work in bigger batches because I know that the Toggle app is running on one specific project or task. I'm not getting distracted or pulled away by other tasks or projects because unconsciously I know that I have committed my time, my energy, my effort into this one project or task. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever felt that a project was going to take you longer than it actually did when you actually sat down to get that project done? Drop me a yes in the comments below. Hey, I've been there too. Step number 4, the sound, speed, and action rule. Back when I was working in Hollywood in my late teens and early 20s, when you're on set filming a movie or a TV show, the director yells sound, speed, and action. And when he says action, you have to perform. It is in that moment of action that you have to trust that you know your lines, that you know what you're doing, that you've done enough preparation, that you are familiar with where you need to walk to, that where you need to get to, where you're going in the scene, and you do the scene, whether you feel ready or not. So take that lesson from Tinseltown and apply it to your business. Sound, speed, and action! Send that email, write that course, write that chapter of your book, send that sales proposal, take the action even if you do not feel ready, and trust that in that moment, all of your life experiences, all of your business experiences up until that point has prepared you for that moment and for that scene of your life. Because just like the magic of a scene in a movie, when you're watching a really good movie, it is in the moment, in the presence of the actors of that moment, of them fully being in that scene and trusting that it's going to lead somewhere. Those are the Academy Award-winning moments right there. So why can't you and your business have your Academy Award-winning moments? Maybe even the montage music in the background as you're writing that email or as you're writing that course or as you're sending that sales pitch. And it is in that moment that is in that perfect dance of divine trust and preparation where you are trusting that whatever you produce, whatever comes through you in the moment will be perfect and exactly what your audience needs to see. And finally, step number 5, celebrate the journey. All too often, especially as women, we anchor in more of our failures than we actually do our successes. We think about all the things we didn't get to that day instead of all the things that we did. One activity that I have with my husband is at nighttime when we're on our daily beach walks, we talk about what are the 3 things that we achieved that day, that we can celebrate with each other, that we achieved, that we can be super proud of, that we knocked off our to-do list, that we knocked off our projects list, that we totally crushed that day. That way, at the end of the day, no matter how little or much progress you think you made, you're still celebrating those incremental wins, which is training the reticular activating system in your brain to recognize your success and to recognize progress. Progress keeps us progressing. So celebrate those incremental pieces of progress. Celebrating and acknowledging our incremental bits of progress will keep us progressing further, forward, faster than we expected. So at the end of the day, whether it's in a conversation with your partner or in your journal, at least acknowledge 3 areas where you have been able to make progress that day. Maybe you sent that one email that scared you because it was making an offer to your first 2 customers. Maybe you shot that first YouTube video. Maybe you actually spent some time strategizing on that course you want to create. Whatever it is that you did, maybe you just showed up and you took a shower that day. Wherever it is for you that is a sign of progress, take a moment to acknowledge your progress at the end of the day, to train your brain to see that it's already progressing toward your goals and toward achieving that greater goal, toward becoming that sovereign self that you envisioned earlier. And that is why today I am challenging you to acknowledge your progress thus far and to recommit or make that commitment to that project or that task, to get it off your to-do list and to get it on your to-done list. I am cheering and championing you on. Let me know how it goes in the comments below. Now you've got Toggle to help you manage your time, but if you want my complete list of all the tools and all the resources that I use in my personal life and in my business that have allowed me to have freedom and fulfillment and multi-six figures with a baby, click below to download my Queen Bee Productivity Toolkit to get all of my best tools to help you eliminate overwhelm and manage your time. And if you want to join a community of fellow sovereign leaders who are showing up, standing out, and serving from their soul, then be sure to jump into our Crown Yourself community on Facebook. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. As always, my fellow sovereigns, own your throne, mind your business, because your reign is now. Check out these videos next on how to build your confidence and your empire.
Attention, these are tests and tests only.
Fire drills right in the middle of my video. Don't they know that I'm shooting? Yes, go for it! Go for it, girl! My future self is like some sovereign Southern woman. It's because I'm married to a Texan, that's why.